All right, sorry, just forgot to hit the play button. Okay, hopefully you guys are getting on this. I don't see anybody on the Hangout yet, so that kind of sucks. Let me double check on this side. Um, Doing all the Hangout through the live chat this way instead of trying to do anything else. So yeah, let's do it that way. I see conversations faster on here than through the streaming service on YouTube at the moment. Still working out the details. All right. Um, okay. I'm just going to set that there. And check one more thing over here. Okay. Sorry. Trying to keep up. No, got something showing up. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so I wanted to go over a couple things on today's lesson. Mostly, I want to do stuff that is stuff you can do at home, and most likely because you're in my most advanced class. Hi. Thank you very much. Thank you. You should be purchasing some of these tools to have in your toolbox. So we're going to go over some of them today, referring to them. So like I mentioned in Google Classroom, I posted the stuff about getting a vacuum tester. That's something that you should always have. It's a tool that, well, it's right here. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Now there is the one I linked in Amazon is a vacuum tester and a fuel pressure tester. Now I would never do those on the same gauge because it's creating vacuum. So say if you do a gas pressure test, you will have fumes in that gauge, and then you're going to hook it up on vacuum. You're going to have some issues because it's going to rev up because of the vacuum. So if you're going to just buy it, use it as a vacuum gauge, and then get a fuel pressure gauge system later on. But that one, well, we're not teaching it in the 4 weeks we have of April or 3 weeks because having that tool in your toolbox isn't as critical as a vacuum gauge. So this is a nice older set. It is a pure vacuum gauge. Okay, so on here, let me get the glare off. You can see we start out at 0. There we go. Mercury, or not mercury, yeah, kilograms of mercury. So that's its measurement of pressure. Okay, on a traditional vehicle, you want to sit somewhere between 18, this side, anywhere between 18 to 22 with a steady needle. Okay. We're going to go over what each of the needles positions, what it's doing, how it's working, so that way you understand. So this just has a basic nipple. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the other webcam so that way we can get into the Suburban and do a vacuum test on it and see what it's doing. This Suburban has an issue. It's eating oil, so I'm not sure if it's just the rear main seal that's going bad on it, and that's why I got the telltale sign all over the driveway, or if I actually have a bad ring or something. And, we already learned about how to do a pressure test. When we hooked up, we took the spark plug out and we hooked up that other gauge. We did a cylinder balance test that we never finished. That's where we put air into it and see where it's leaking out of, and we did that also on the Honda. And then we did the one on checking burnt valves or bad timing with a piece of paper sitting off the exhaust where it fluttered. Okay, and if you saw a flat flutter or an odd skip in the flutter, that tells you had a miss, which we showed because the Honda had a spark plug out. So let's go ahead and get this set up, as well as switching over to the other webcam. So Alrighty. Alright, so I'm not sure where I'm going to place this yet. Got a lot of layer back. That would be perfect, but I don't have anything there. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so right back here, and this is our vacuum booster. This is for brakes. This helps assist us stopping the vehicle. Our master cylinder, brake line's down here. The brake booster works off of vacuum. Okay, right? Nice big vacuum lead. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a pair of pliers, pull this off, and then go ahead and hook up my vacuum gauge, and then we'll go from there. So. So just keeping up on the feed. Okay. So. Okay, so some of the other tricks, I pulled the clamp off. So what would be a trick to making sure that I don't mess this up? You know, brittle plastic right there. Well, I'm going to go ahead and give it a twist to try to separate the rubber. There you go. From that. So now that seal that's created from heat is done. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a screwdriver. And of course I don't have any good ones. All I have is just this tiny little Weaver state screwdriver. But what I'm going to do, just like a Chinese finger trap, if I pull this hose, it's going to get tighter around here. So I want to actually push it off. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get it up under there. There we go. Okay, so now I have a nice big port for vacuum. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get my vacuum gauge. Sure I'm not going to set it on anything. Let's get that off of there. So I'm going to slide that in there. Try to get that nice and tight. Okay, so now I got that set. I got my vacuum gauge, but I don't want either of those in the engine compartment. So I'm going to move the camera over here. Nice picture of the ceiling. Okay. And then I got my vacuum gauge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start the vehicle, and then I'm going to look at the gauge. So I'm going to see if I can get the gauge and the camera in a visible spot. I don't know if that's going to work. There we go. Okay, we'll see what wiggles. All right, I'm going to double check, make sure none of my hoses are near any of the belts or anything that moves that might get caught. So let me go ahead and get the vehicle started. And watch the needle. What it should do is it should go past the good range and then come back and sit there. And the needle should be steady. If there's any fluttering in the needle, that means there's some issues. Okay, so we're sitting there. So the next thing you want to do is, it says I got late ignition timing. So what I want to do is I want to spike the engine. I'm going to hit the gas. Now, carbureted engines, it's really easy to reach over and hit the carburetor. On this vehicle or any other ignition or throttle body systems, you probably want to have a buddy sit in the car and snap the throttle. But I'm going to just do it. I get to see it up on the screen. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to snap the throttle 2 or 3 times. Okay, so as we saw on the vacuum gauge, I was showing that I was having late ignition timing. Now, I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my other vacuum gauge, hook it up, and do it one more time. I haven't used this gauge now that we have scan tools, and I can read it through a scan tool. But this is $16. A scan tool is a couple grand that does any good. So, yeah, I haven't used this in a while. So let me go ahead and hook up the other gauge, see what it reads, and then compare the two. So. So this is one of those fuel pressure and vacuum gauges. This one's unfortunate, and you can see this one's already reading some vacuum. So that one I can tell is probably done for. It's quite old. Snap on one that will replenish it. Alright, here we go. Here's another one. This one's still reading at 0. The needle's over. Whoop, let me go the other direction. Right there. It's still at 0. Remember, I want to be able to read the vacuum, which is in the red gauge, and I want to be somewhere between 20. You want to be around the 20. So anywhere between the 17 to 22. So let's go ahead and hook this up and see what this gauge says. Okay, let's go ahead and fire up the truck. Okay, so on this gauge, I'm also still sitting under 15. Oh, there's a little pop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and spike the throttle a couple times, see what it does, and go from there. Okay, so once again, even on this gauge, I was reading low. So that tells me that both gauges are reading. So I got both gauges, they're both reading. So I got some issues. So let's look over some of those real quick. I'm going to go ahead and grab this. Give me a second, it glares out. And I want that. Okay, so All right, right here we have this one. It says pour rings or oil. Needs the needle is steady but lower than normal. Hey, so that tells me just by doing this. Now, think about what we did for the compression test. We had to pull a spark plug. We had to hook up the gauge. On this one, I disconnected one hose, and it was a lot quicker. So that was a whole lot faster than dealing with trying to hook up that. So here's a series of gauges of different setups. So on a pour ring or oil, we also have this one where it's open and close throttle rapidly, and the needle will pull down to 0 and then back up, which it did that. A sticky valve, the needle will occasionally drop, okay, because the vacuum is done, because the valve is not opening, creating that vacuum. Okay, and so here we have a lot of different things that you can learn just from the, whoops, I don't need to add a comment, from just the gauge itself, which is really nice. Like I said, it was a lot faster for me to know that I got a ring problem, okay, just by this. Now, there's another test that we could do, and I don't have the tool here with me, is doing a hydrocarbon test out of the tailpipe. So I know this thing has high hydrocarbons, because when I went and got an emission when I got the Suburban, the numbers were high, but not out of the ballpark, okay? So it tells me that I do probably have bad rings. I'm sucking down oil in, or sucking oil up, or the combustion's getting blow by, so I'm getting some issues. So we're going to look into that further down. So those are things that you can do with a basic vacuum gauge for 17 bucks off of Amazon. So it's something I would definitely put in your toolbox of use. Okay, so with all that, so I want to just simply, that's a good test. You'll have a simple assignment where you will have to, I will have different gauges, and the needle's doing different things, and you will have to reference what it's doing and then answer that. That's what your assignment is. No lecture this week, just that. And what we're going to do is every time we meet, so Mondays and Wednesdays at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock, 11, sorry, I can't even think, at 11 o'clock, we will go over a tool that I would recommend that you have in your toolbox. I'll put them on Amazon, so that way you can start gathering up some tools, some diagnostic tools. These are really basic. I call them my shade tree mechanic stuff, especially when people call and go, hey, my car is doing this and I don't know what to do. These are some of the things that I look into prior to doing a scanning. I don't have a scanner here at my house. I have it at the shop. So when people ask me at school, it's really simple. I'll bring it over. Let me scan the code. Let me look up that. So, but having a code reader, which will be our next thing, just having a basic one will be good because you can do a lot of information just off of that. So once again, we will be meeting twice a week, and you'll have assignments, and they're due on Sunday. So you'll get an assignment, and I'll put it on Google Classroom right after this video, and then you'll be able to do that assignment. Like I said, it's going to be on gauges, and you'll have to reference what that gauge reading means. You will have to look it up. I'm not going to provide that clip that you just saw me using, or heck, you could probably rewind, pause, and look, but you'll be able to get that information. It's not that complicated. There's a lot of stuff out there about this, especially when it comes to tuning a vehicle that's carbureted. You use a vacuum gauge to help you out. So yeah, on Wednesday we're going to go over another thing, and we'll just keep going through until we get back to school. As of right now, it's still May 1st is the set date. Beyond that, I don't know. There's rumors that we're just going to do online schooling into the end of the year, which to me it sucks for the seniors because, you know, there goes cotillion, goes the prom, the senior night, senior skip days every day now with everybody else in the class. But, you know, I miss you guys, you know, even the ones that annoy me. It's unfortunate, but that's what we're getting through. So, Expect to see you again on Wednesday. Like I said, I'll put the assignment up shortly so that way you can work on it. It's not like you having to do this on your own personal vehicle because I know most of you probably don't have a vacuum gauge. But once again, it is a tool that I would get in your toolbox. Okay? So that's where I'm going to end it at right now. And yeah, I'll see you guys. I will stay online, so if you need to keep talking to me, talk to me through Google Hangout. I'll probably look and see if I got any missed questions or stuff like that, because as soon as I end the video, all the chats that you guys have been doing on the string will disappear, and I won't be able to see them for some reason. So, all right, I'll see you guys on Wednesday.